Vol 2, Chapter 242, Secret Plan. Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge. In the midst of a chaotic skirmish, an armored warrior demonstrated exceptional prowess in both marksmanship and agility. Despite being outnumbered, his advanced armor deflected incoming energy beams with mere sparks, allowing him to neutralize the guards with precision shots. As the miners fled in terror, the warrior activated a rocket on his jetpack, creating a massive breach in the mine's entrance. With a few taps on his wrist device, he deployed over a dozen drones from his Spitfire-class spacecraft. These drones scanned the interior of the mine, providing him with the necessary data to navigate the dark, winding tunnels. Eventually, he arrived at a sinister altar, now deserted except for heaps of low-grade spices, the raw materials for the nefarious death rod. Opening a secure communication channel, the warrior's voice, muffled by his mask, reported, "Boss, the area is clear." The miners and guards were unprepared, but there's no sign of any other presence. However, I've discovered a significant stash of spices intended for the death rod. A cloaked figure materialized in the holographic projection, responding slowly. "Excellent work, Jango Fett. Your efficiency prevented them from moving the spices, leaving Bando Gotha financially crippled. As for Komari Wosa, her Jedi instincts likely warned her of the impending danger, but she'll soon find herself cornered." "And the payment?" Jango inquired. 500,000 credits have been transferred to your account, the figure confirmed. Jango Fett checked his account on his terminal, nodded silently, and made his way back to his spacecraft. Meanwhile, other bounty hunters' ships began arriving on Askaji, only to find the job already completed. Recognizing the distinctive Spitfire-class ship, Slave 1, they knew better than to challenge its owner. Jango Fett, the galaxy's most formidable bounty hunter, had a reputation for unparalleled success and lethality. Many had sought to dethrone him, only to fail miserably. As Slave 1 activated its hyperspace engine and vanished, an unnoticed spacecraft lingered near Askaji. Within, Master Dooku observed the scene with a detached gaze. Moments later, his ship, adorned with a magnificent golden solar sail, also disappeared into hyperspace. On the planet Selenor, a beacon of economic and cultural development in the outer rim of the Milky Way, a Geonosian solar sail spacecraft emerged from hyperspace. As it entered the atmosphere and landed at a castle, Master Dooku disembarked. He was greeted by an official and several attendants. "Viscount Dooku, your guests have arrived," the official informed him as they headed to the living room. Dooku was surprised to find 3 individuals waiting for him, expecting only 2. Among them were Jedi Master Cypher Dyas and the director of Damask Holdings Group, Black Go Damask II, both of whom he had engaged in extensive discussions about the future of the Galactic Republic. However, the presence of a third, unexpected guest piqued his curiosity and hinted at new developments in their secret plans. Behind Black Jay stood a young man with a modest smile, introduced by He Gay as his disciple and the pivotal figure of the fourth group, Tang Xiao. Tang Xiao bowed deeply to Master Dooku, careful not to reveal any hint of his true nature. He was acutely aware that being under the scrutiny of Jedi Masters Cypher Dyas and Dooku meant he had to conceal his dark side force meticulously. Black G had brought him directly to these esteemed Jedi Masters for what could only be described as rigorous training. Tang Xiao knew the stakes were high. Discovery of his dark side force by these Jedi Masters would mean certain death. Black Jay might offer some support, but his survival ultimately depended on his ability to remain undetected. Master Dooku, however, seemed oblivious to Tang Xiao's inner turmoil. He merely raised an eyebrow and mused, "The fourth group? So this is your latest venture, Mr. Black Jay. Quite ambitious." Unbeknownst to Dooku, E4th Group, shielded by Black G and the Interstellar Banking Association, was widely recognized as a legitimate enterprise registered on the planet of Makido under the umbrella of the Damask Holding Group. Dooku had yet to connect the fourth group with the Endor galaxy, instead marveling at Black G's ability to establish a large-scale enterprise with independent industrial capabilities so swiftly. "Our plan has progressed to a critical phase," Black G explained. "The fourth group will oversee the production of robots and military equipment for training on the planet Camino." Tang Xiao added, with a cautious tone, "The fourth group is fully committed to the future of the Republic." Cypher Dyas, having spoken with Tang Xiao earlier, commented, "Though he is reserved, his values align closely with ours." Tang Xiao, internally struggling to maintain his composure and conceal his true power, took a deep breath and focused on blending in, ensuring his force remained undetected. Turning the conversation to a different matter, Black G inquired about the current situation. Master Dooku shared his observations on Jango Fett, noting, "After monitoring Jango Fett's combat performance for the past month and analyzing his data, I concur with the Kaminoans. Despite the Immerse possessing the finest physical attributes in the galaxy, capable of defeating 10 human soldiers single-handedly, they would be at a disadvantage in larger numbers. In a battle of 10,000 against 10,000, the Immerse would suffer a devastating defeat." Note 1. At this time, Dooku has not yet inherited the title of Earl. According to tradition, he is addressed with a title one rank lower than his father's, making him a Viscount. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Jango Fett. Vol 2, Chapter 243, The Secret Army. Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge. Master Cypher Dias posed a solemn question. "So, have other species been considered for this army?" "The Kaminoans have evaluated over 3,000 species across the galaxy," he explained with a calm demeanor. "For instance, the Wookiees, despite their strength, are deemed untamable and unsuitable for military purposes. The Quarren and Mon Calamari species struggle in high-temperature environments. Demi-humans' limb sizes make it challenging for them to wield various weapons effectively, and the Moon people, being taller than average, have a relatively unstable center of gravity." He continued, "Therefore, after extensive evaluation, it's clear that humans are the most versatile species for large-scale cloning." Master Dooku nodded in agreement. Humans may not excel in specific environments like the Quarren do underwater or the Nyctos in heat, but they possess the adaptability required for the diverse combat environments this army will encounter. This adaptability, coupled with their widespread presence in the galaxy, justifies their selection. His tone carried a hint of pride as he spoke. Cypher Dias took a deep breath, his unease palpable. "So, we've decided on humans?" "The gene Primarch still requires further investigation, but Jango Fett's genes are currently the prime candidate, being among the best humanity has to offer," Master Dooku revealed. As the plan progressed, Cypher Dias's anxiety intensified, but to build an army right under the Republic's nose. "This will be the Republic's army, without a doubt," Master Dooku assured him. "The Dark Age foretold by ancient prophecies is upon us. Look around. The tragedies of the past, like Marathar, are bound to recur. The Republic is on the brink of war. It needs this army." He then criticized the Republic's current trajectory. Following the Russen Conference, the Republic strayed from its original mission. The Galactic Council intended for the galaxy's trillions to live in peace, yet the common people have seen no improvement in their lives, while corporate giants plunder wealth. These entities have grown so powerful that even the Republic dares not challenge them. Master Dooku's voice grew louder with passion. The judicial fleet's refusal to intervene in Marathar's conflict, simply because they do not support Phoenix Valorum, is both unthinkable and unforgivable. Today, they withhold support due to political disagreements. Tomorrow, they might besiege Coruscant to install a new speaker. He then turned his criticism towards Tang Xiao, "And don't think your actions with the Fourth Group have gone unnoticed, using the Battle of Malastare Fjord's footage for propaganda, exploiting the bloodshed of Republic soldiers to amass wealth." Tang Xiao, head bowed, responded, "The current Republic has lost my respect. We yearn for an efficient, powerful government, which is why we back Mr. Blackgee's plan, despite the privileges it may cost us." Cypher Dias sighed. "This matter requires further deliberation. I must consult with Master Windu and Master Yoda." Master Dooku's faith in the Jedi Order had waned. "I have little hope for the Order. Master Yoda might foresee the dark future, but his hopes are pinned on the elusive Chosen One. Moreover, the Jedi Order has failed to take decisive action. They've lost their way, entangled in Republic politics, forsaking their esteemed position and the respect they once commanded." His voice softened. "Yet, I trust in Master Yoda's wisdom and await his guidance." Cypher Dias declared, "I will no longer wield my influence within the Jedi Order. Instead, I will spend my remaining days on the planet Seleno. Therefore, Master Sci-Fi, if you wish to impact the Jedi Order, the responsibility falls solely on you. Among the members of the Jedi High Council, you alone possess the foresight and willingness to shape the future of the Republic. Master Dooku nodded in agreement. Sci-Fi Dyas scoffed. I doubt Master Windu will allow me to remain on the High Council. He cannot tolerate dissent within the ranks. At this moment, the only true sage within the Jedi Order is Master Yoda. Master Windu's allegiance lies more with the Republic than with the Jedi Knights. This is the primary reason the Jedi Order has strayed from its path of justice in recent years. He is aware that Phoenix Valorum is incapable of leading the Republic forward, yet he continues to support him, despite such support contradicting the Jedi Knight's creed. Master Dooku remarked, his tone icy. In any case, I will do what I can within the Jedi Order. The situation is not beyond repair. I still have reservations about secretly building an army, even in the Republic's name, Sci-Fi Dyas stated. After a long silence, Black G finally spoke. Time is of the essence, Master Sci-Fi. You must realize that when war erupts, the judicial fleet alone will not suffice to protect the Republic. We must prepare a capable army for the Republic. After all, how long does it take to establish, train, and deploy an army? We can afford to wait, but the Republic cannot. Taking a deep breath, Sci-Fi Dyas nodded to those present, donned his cloak, and exited the room. Our plan will proceed regardless. The fourth group will immediately begin production of the necessary equipment, and the Damask Holding Group will start fundraising. Master Dooku, this is for the Republic's future, Hige stated calmly. Master Sci-Fi is the closest ally we have within the Jedi Order who aligns with our ideals, yet he remains hesitant. Perhaps Master Qui-Gon Jinn would share our vision, but he too has been marginalized by the Jedi Order. With his credentials, he would undoubtedly qualify for a seat on the High Council, Master Dooku observed. Sev Diaz could be of assistance to us. If nothing else, he could ensure that this endeavor is buried in the annals of history. Along with himself, Blacka added. Master Dooku remained silent, his gaze turning frosty. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Master Sci-Fi Dyas, the progenitor of the Clone Army. Vol 2, Chapter 244, Komari Wosa. Star Wars, the Fourth Scourge, emerging from planet Seleno, King Black Gay Damask II cast a glance at Tang Xiao, who was visibly drenched in cold sweat, and remarked in a calm tone, You performed admirably today, managing to conceal yourself in the presence of two top Jedi Masters. However, you must understand that such a level of concealment should become second nature to you. Tang Xiao, looking somewhat defeated, sat to the side and nodded feebly. The brief interaction had been an intense ordeal for him. Maintaining the peace of the Force was a constant requirement, and for someone aligned with the dark side of the Force, peace was an elusive state. Black Gi tapped a few keys on the computer, sending a set of coordinates to Tang Xiao. Your next destination is here. This is likely Bondo Gosa's last stronghold, aside from their main headquarters. He seemed indifferent to Tang Xiao's exhausted state, viewing it as part of the trials. Tang Xiao examined the coordinates for the planet Nar Haka, nestled deep within Hutt space. He scoffed. No wonder the Jedi Knights have never been able to completely eradicate Bondo Gosa. They still have a stronghold in Hutt space. Given that Nar Haka is a Hutt colony, Jedi Knights would avoid it for political reasons. Destroy this stronghold, leaving no one behind. If you succeed, I will assist you in establishing the production line for the generous class communication frigate you've always desired. I understand, Tang Xiao acknowledged. This time, unleash all your power and show me how much you've grown. A shuttlecraft descended into the atmosphere of Nar Haka, skillfully evading the Vulture robot fighters attempting to intercept it, before heading straight for a secret stronghold nestled in the mountains, like a shooting star. Handing over the piloting to the navigation robot, Tang Xiao opened the hatch and leaped from the air. His bold entrance immediately drew the stronghold's attention. Several defenders emerged, blaster guns in hand, unleashing a barrage of red blaster beams at both the shuttle and Tang Xiao. Tang Xiao adjusted his posture in mid-air, igniting his red lightsaber, and deflected the incoming blaster beams. Closing the distance in an instant, he concentrated all his force beneath his feet and landed with the force of a bullet, creating a shockwave that sent the defenders stumbling. The stronghold's defenders, numbering only a few dozen, were quickly overwhelmed by Tang Xiao. He stormed into the stronghold without hesitation. Inside, he encountered Bando Gosa fanatics donning animal bone helmets, their eyes emitting a faint blue glow, unlike the mindless zeal of the others. "Borden's moon blesses us," they shouted. "Infinite power. Die." Despite their sanity, these fanatics were driven by madness, their strength far surpassing that of ordinary men. Tang Xiao dispatched 2 or 3 with ease, but his momentum faltered when one of the fanatics, nearly 2 meters tall, managed to ensnare him in a bear hug. The fanatic's muscles bulged, attempting to crush Tang Xiao. Feeling as though he was trapped in an iron vice, Tang Xiao's breath was squeezed from his lungs. In this life-or-death moment, his eyes blazed with fury, awakening the ferocity within him. "Die!" Tang Xiao roared, unleashing a powerful surge of dark side force that tore the arms off the fanatic. Blood gushed from the severed limbs like a fountain. "This is your end," Tang Xiao declared, his appearance now that of a blood-soaked demon, as black smoke rose from the fallen bodies and merged into him. The lightsaber in his hand glowed ever brighter as he advanced. Ascending the depths of the stronghold, step by step, there was no living soul to halt his advance. He climbed the stairs, reaching a rotunda at the summit. Surrounding him were blue glass windows, adorned with inlays of predominantly red glass shards, forming intricate patterns. The sunlight filtering through these windows cast a surreal, blue-hued atmosphere around the room. In the center of the hall, a woman, appearing to be in her 30s, knelt with her back to him. She was cloaked, her short, pale hair standing on end as if aflame, influenced by some unseen force, while she murmured incantations. "So, you're the final challenge?" Tang Xiao approached, his voice laced with malice. "Dooku, I thought he would be the one to end me," the woman spoke. "You had your chance, but you chose to flee." "Komari Vosa," Tang Xiao replied, his tone deliberate and slow. "Flee? No, I am still in the fight. The favor of Boden Moon empowers me. I will not run. I will destroy you all, and offer you as a tribute to the great Boden Moon." Komari Vosa suddenly cast aside her cloak and rose to her feet, revealing her true form. For the first time, Tang Xiao saw her clearly. She was clad in a tight leather jacket, her delicate features framed by her attire. Despite being 40 years old, she bore the appearance of someone much younger, her allure undeniable. Yet, her expression was one of sheer madness, her demeanor that of a deranged individual. "Master Dooku, why did he not come? Why? I would sacrifice everything for him, for I love him, and he loves me too. But why did he not come to save me?" she raged. "Your demise will be my offering to the moon of Boden. My power will grow, and Dooku will surely acknowledge me then. Right? Right?" It was clear that rational conversation was futile, but Tang Xiao had no intention of engaging in dialogue. With a blood-red lightsaber in hand, he summoned a sinister aura around him. Komari Vosa, in response, drew 2 curved lightsabers from her waist, identical to Master Dooku's, and activated them, unleashing 2 blood-red beams of light. Attachments 1 and 2 of the Easter egg chapter, Fallen Jedi Knights. Note 1. The Hutts have a tradition of prefixing their colony planets with Nal, such as Nal Hurta and Nal Haka. A similar custom exists among the Nemoidians, who add Nemoidia as a suffix to their colonies, like Cato Nemoidia. Vol 2, Chapter 245, Lightsaber Duel, Part 1. In the midst of the trial arranged by Hige, Tang Xiao found himself facing a formidable challenge. His opponent was a fallen Jedi, Komari Vosa, who had succumbed to madness. Despite her mental state, her prowess with the lightsaber was undeniable. Once an apprentice of Dooku, her talent with the Force was exceptional, and even in her madness, her instinctual muscle memory remained intact. Komari Vosa, laughing maniacally, saliva dripping from the corners of her mouth like a rabid dog, charged at Tang Xiao. The 2 lightsabers she wielded gleamed menacingly in her hands. Tang Xiao, having studied lightsaber combat under Darth Plagueis, immediately recognized her stance as Jarkai, a technique designed for dual-wielding lightsabers. Furthermore, she combined Soresu, a defensive style, with a Taru, an aggressive style, showcasing her mastery over complex swordsmanship. A drop of cold sweat trickled down Tang Xiao's forehead as he realized the gravity of his situation. His first life-and-death lightsaber duel was against a master of compound swordsmanship. In a desperate move, Tang Xiao shattered a nearby window with a wave of his hand, sending shards of glass flying towards Vosa like bullets. However, Vosa, with a swift turn, used her cloak to shield herself from the glass, then launched a counterattack with her lightsabers, targeting Tang Xiao's vulnerabilities from unexpected angles. Fueled by a relentless fighting spirit, Tang Xiao had long awaited this moment. Wielding his lightsaber, he was determined to navigate the complexities of pleasure, revenge, and ultimately, survival. "Face death!" he roared, his lightsaber clashing against Vosa's in a fierce battle. The force emanated from both combatants like raging waves, colliding with explosive force. The clash shattered all surrounding glass and sent objects flying in the tumultuous energy storm. Komari Vosa's aggressive use of Ataru with her right-handed lightsaber and the steady defense of Soresu with her left created a relentless assault. Tang Xiao, on the other hand, employed a sword technique taught by Darth Plagueis, which emphasized unleashing one's inner darkness and anger, allowing the dark side of the Force to guide his strikes. This technique, known as Juyo, was notorious for invoking negative emotions and leading its users towards the dark side. Under the influence of this dark and forbidden swordsmanship, Tang Xiao's connection to the Force grew stronger, fueled by a mix of fatigue, anger, excitement, and fear. The duel intensified, with both combatants pushing their limits, their lightsabers clashing in a dazzling display of skill and power. As the battle raged on, it became clear that this was more than just a duel. It was a test of wills, a confrontation between light and darkness, and a moment that would define Tang Xiao's path forward. In the heat of battle, the hall was illuminated by the fierce glow of lightsabers, casting a blood-red hue over everything. Tang Xiao and Wasa were locked in a fierce struggle, their forces clashing with such intensity that the very air around them seemed to tremble. Every object within their vicinity vibrated, a testament to their battle for dominance. A momentary lapse allowed Tang Xiao to seize a stool with the force, hurling it towards Wasa's back. With swift precision, Wasa sliced the stool in half, her counterattack sending Tang Xiao crashing into the wall with a thunderous impact. Struggling for breath, he narrowly avoided a fatal strike from Wasa's lightsaber by rolling away at the last second. Gritting his teeth, Tang Xiao summoned all his strength, using the floor to block another of Wasa's attacks. Seizing the opportunity presented by her temporary disadvantage, he launched a frenzied assault. Wasa, wielding a single lightsaber, remained composed. Her defensive technique, Soresu, allowed her to parry each of Tang Xiao's strikes with deceptive speed, her movements fluid and precise. Suddenly, Tang Xiao sensed danger and dodged just in time as another lightsaber scorched the floor, narrowly missing him. Wasa, now with both lightsabers in hand, resumed her balanced offense and defense. Tang Xiao's breaths became labored, his physical and mystical energies waning. His ability to control death, though useful in sensing residual thoughts and drawing power from the deceased, offered little advantage in the rapid tempo of their duel. Wasa, on the other hand, seemed to be at the peak of her physical prowess, her swordsmanship superior to Tang Xiao's. He had been relying heavily on the dark side of the Force just to fend off her relentless attacks. Amidst the chaos, Wasa's madness became evident as she taunted Tang Xiao with a crazed laughter, revealing scars and stitches that marred every inch of her skin. The sight was a grim reminder of the torture she must have endured to transform from a talented Jedi Knight into a deranged leader of cultists. In that moment, Tang Xiao identified a vulnerability in Wasa's defenses. It was a slim chance, but it was all he had to prevent his demise at the hands of a madwoman before he could achieve his ambitions. Vol 2, Chapter 246, Lightsaber Duel, Part 2. The only chance to win lay in the madness of Komari Vosa. Komari Vosa had already burst into a maniacal laughter, charging forward once again. She wielded the lightsaber in her right hand with wide sweeping arcs, while the blade in her left hand moved with deceptive cunning. Under her relentless assault, Tang Xiao was forced to retreat, increasingly relying on the terrain to his advantage. As he retreated, he used the Force to lift a large section of the floor and hurled it towards Vosa. This brief distraction allowed him a moment to catch his breath before he gritted his teeth and surged forward to meet her madness head-on. Vosa's technique, wielding two different styles of swordsmanship simultaneously, might have seemed sophisticated, but it wasn't necessarily more effective than mastering a single style. In fact, it demanded the user to multitask continuously, akin to drawing circles with one hand and squares with the other, a daunting challenge. Tang Xiao's eyes narrowed as he unleashed Zhu Wei's swordsmanship, directing a rapid succession of stabs towards Vosa's left-hand blade. No matter how frenzied, mastering such a complex technique was beyond her. Initially, Vosa managed to maintain the Soresu defense with her left hand, but Tang Xiao's relentless attacks soon made her falter. The calm and composed aura required by the Soresu style was incompatible with her deranged state. "Die! Die! Die! I'll kill you!" Vosa roared, her use of Soresu becoming increasingly erratic until she abandoned it altogether, slashing wildly with lightsabers in both hands. As expected, the disciplined strategy of Soresu was intolerable for a lunatic. Tang Xiao felt the pressure mount as he continued to retreat, his stamina nearly depleted. However, Vosa's disorganized assault provided him with opportunities. No longer meticulously controlling the environment, she became an easier target. Tang Xiao seized the moment, sending a podium flying towards Vosa with the force, creating distance between them as he gasped for air. Vosa's pursuit was relentless. Tang Xiao retreated, using the force to hurl objects at her. Tables and chairs struck her several times, driving her further into a frenzy. Her eyes shone with an unusual golden light as she let out an incomprehensible roar. Tang Xiao used the debris to buy time, allowing him to recover his strength. He led the chase outside, where the bodies of dozens of fallen believers lay, potential sources of unclaimed death energy. Vosa followed blindly. Tang Xiao lifted several corpses with the force and flung them at her. As she sliced through them, he made his escape, absorbing black mist from the bodies into his body, rejuvenating his physical and force energies. The residual death energy from those killed by the explosive rebound of energy beams had not been fully absorbed. "Kill, kill, kill!" Vosa's cries became a frenzied chant. Tang Xiao, revitalized, prepared for the final confrontation. He summoned all his remaining force energy, fully unleashing Zhu Yu's swordsmanship. Merging it with his force, he became one with his blade. He calculated the trajectory and speed of Vosa's dual lightsabers. If he could just be 0.1 seconds faster, he could split her offense down the middle, effectively neutralizing her attack. With a focused determination, Tang Xiao prepared to meet Vosa's next move, his red lightsaber poised for the decisive strike. In a swift motion, Tang Xiao's blade flashed, severing Vortha's hands before her lightsaber could strike him. However, before he could deliver a final blow, a sudden gust of wind hurled him and Wasa against the wall, tangling them together. Despite her severe injuries, Wasa, driven by madness, attempted to attack with her teeth. Tang Xiao quickly rose to his feet and kicked Vosa aside, distancing himself from her ferocity. "Leave her to Master Dooku. You may go," came the ominous voice of Darth Plagueis from the shadows. The production line for the Generosity-class communication frigate will commence after the Eliadu Business Summit. Choose the location first, preferably outside the Endor system. Tang Xiao barely registered Plagueis' words. His chest heaved, his teeth clenched so tightly that his gums bled. He had just experienced the exhilarating rush of killing, of taking the life of a Jedi. Even though this Jedi Knight had fallen into madness and depravity, the act of beheading her felt profoundly different from killing an ordinary person. He sensed that killing Komari Vosa at this moment would significantly benefit his mastery of the Force. The dark side of the Force surged within him, urging him to kill her, to defy Darth Plagueis, to embrace the darkness fully. Amidst these tumultuous thoughts, Tang Xiao found himself under the cold spray of a shower. The water cascaded over his well-defined muscles, tracing the contours of his 8-pack abs and slender, slightly pale body. "Master, lower the water temperature by another 5 degrees, he requested calmly. "Manager, the current water temperature is 10 degrees. Lowering it further could result in hypothermia, the system warned. "Reduce it by 5 degrees, Tang Xiao insisted, his eyes betraying a hint of desperation. "Manager, for your health." "Lower the temperature." Tang Xiao's command echoed with a force that seemed to shake the very space around him. As the water grew colder, he submerged his head in the mist, hoping the chill would quell the dark urges within him. He had never anticipated the overwhelming temptation to kill a Jedi, how it could consume him so completely. The moment he had Vosa defenseless before him, it would have taken but a fraction of a second to end her life, to extinguish her connection to the Force. It was akin to offering an ice-cold drink to someone dying of thirst in the desert, only to snatch it away as their lips touched the bottle, a maddening tease. Tang Xiao understood that Darth Plagueis had countless reasons to hand Kamari Vosa over to Master Dooku, just as there were countless reasons for orchestrating their duel. Yet, he also recognized it as a ploy by Plagueis to tighten his grip on him, to further draw him into the depths of the dark side. Volume 2, Chapter 247, The Waves of History. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, a Geonosian solar sail spacecraft glided gracefully towards the planet Nar Hakar, eventually landing at what was once the secret stronghold of Bando Gosa. Master Dooku, clad in a black coat crafted from luxurious fabrics that defied the austere dress code of the Jedi Order, draped a simple cloth cloak over his shoulders. He disembarked from the spaceship with measured steps, approaching the entrance of the stronghold. The scene that greeted him was one of desolation and violence. The ground was littered with corpses, and the remnants of explosions marred the landscape, evidence of a brutal confrontation. Yet, Dooku seemed unfazed by the carnage. With a flick of his wrist, he sensed the lingering dark energy in the air. A sneer crossed his lips as he muttered, "The dark side." He followed the trail of dark energy, stepping over bodies without a second glance. His journey ended in a dilapidated hall where he found a woman with her limbs severed. Kamari Vosa lay before him, her wounds cauterized by a lightsaber, preventing any bleeding. The treatment of her wounds was minimal, barely keeping her alive. Her two curved lightsabers hung around her neck, a mockery of her former prowess. Kamari Vosa, despite her grave injuries, had managed to drag herself from outside the stronghold. Hearing footsteps, she turned her head, her eyes clouded with pain but sparking with recognition upon seeing Dooku. Master Dooku. Master, you're here. You've finally come," she rasped, attempting to crawl towards him. Dooku's response was cold and devoid of empathy. He kicked her aside dismissively. "Look at you, Kamari Vosa, how pitiful. While the Jedi Order shares some blame for your fate, you have ultimately disappointed me." Vosa tried to speak, but Dooku was not interested in her words. With a gesture, he used the Force to choke her, showing no mercy as she struggled in vain. Eventually, her movements ceased. Without a hint of remorse, Dooku crouched down, removed the lightsabers from her neck, and left without a backward glance. He chose not to investigate the signs of a dark side confrontation further, instead returning to his spacecraft. Upon his command, dozens of spherical drones emerged from the ship, targeting the stronghold's structural supports. As the spacecraft ascended, a massive explosion obliterated the stronghold, erasing all evidence of its existence. At that moment, Dooku received a communication from Jango Fett. "I've cleared the last Bando Gosa stronghold on the planet Borden, but Kamari Vosa wasn't there. Our intelligence was incorrect," Fett reported. "It's unfortunate you'll miss out on the 5 million credits reward," Dooku replied, his tone light. "You're joking," Fett's voice betrayed his frustration. "I assure you, I'm not. However, I acknowledge your skills. As compensation, I have another job for you. Safe, stable, well-paid, albeit a bit mundane," Dooku offered. "Go on," Fett demanded. "You'll serve as the Primarch of the Clone Army," Dooku revealed, a cold smile playing on his lips. Thus, the chapter of Bando Gosa, a once feared terrorist organization that had claimed the lives of several Jedi Knights, came to a close. Their downfall was not brought about by the forces of justice, but by the overwhelming power of capital. Deemed uncontrollable and a nuisance by those in the shadows, Bando Gosa faced a united front that sealed their fate. Several corporate giants, led by the Damask Holding Group, found themselves facing a reward of up to 5 million credit points. This organization, which even the Jedi Knights seemed powerless against, was eventually relegated to history. Yet, this event was merely a minor ripple in the vast expanse of the Milky Way, and the year 33 BY was shaping up to be filled with significant occurrences. Not long after, the Jedi Order's 12 Supreme Council experienced a notable personnel change. Jedi Master Cypher Dyas was removed from the committee and demoted to the rank of a regular Jedi Master. Rumors within the Jedi Order suggested that Cypher Dyas had engaged in a heated argument with several other masters within the Jedi Temple, ultimately angering Master Windu, which led to his expulsion. This incident cast a long shadow over the Jedi Order. 2 months later, in the outer rim of the Milky Way, within the Sesvena sector, the planet Eliadu stood as a crucial hub of trade and commerce. Known for its prosperity, Eliadu was among the wealthier planets in the outer rim. On this day, the planet was set to make history. Under the initiative of the Galactic Republic's speaker, Finis Valorum, a business summit was organized on Eliadu, attracting all the major business giants in the galaxy. Participants included the Trade Alliance, the Enterprise Alliance, the Technology Alliance, the Interstellar Banking Association, and the Commerce Guild, some of the largest commercial entities in the galaxy. Additionally, the summit was attended by the largest political entities, including the Galactic Council, the Stark Veterans Association, military representatives, and delegates from many influential planets. This summit was poised to be the most significant business gathering in the galaxy, with the power to shape the future direction of the entire galaxy. Even the Republic's judicial fleet, which had previously shown opposition to Phoenix Valorum, took the event very seriously. They deployed their most formidable battleships, including 5 2,500-meter-long Prosecutor-class battlecruisers, 2 4,000-meter-long Governor-class dreadnoughts, and an 8,000-meter-long Commander-class dreadnought, serving as the flagship of the Justice Fleet. These colossal warships were rarely seen in the judicial fleet, as they were typically reserved for guarding key planets, such as Coruscant and Quart. Note 1. The Prosecutor class, Governor class, and Commander class are mentioned without visual references. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, the Geonosian Cell spaceship, which, in my opinion, is the most beautiful spaceship in Star Wars. Vol 2, Chapter 248, Retaliation. The dreadnoughts of the Prosecutor class, Governor class, and Commander class, despite their imposing presence, are essentially diminished versions of their potential selves. The Ruusan Reform Treaty imposes restrictions that prevent these warships from being equipped with overly powerful turbo laser cannons. Additionally, their hyperspace engines are subject to limitations, rendering them not quite up to the standard of a fully qualified battleship. Nonetheless, their sheer size makes them among the most formidable ships in the galaxy. Deploying these battleships, of which even the judicial fleet possesses only a handful, underscores the immense importance placed on the summit. The implication is clear. Any disruption at this summit could send shockwaves across the galaxy, potentially crashing stock markets to their limits. In the outer space near planet Eliadu, a fleet of 10 Generosity-class communication frigates materialized from hyperspace, their arrival heralded by a flash of white light. Each frigate bore the emblem of the Interstellar Banking Association. After coordinating with the surrounding judicial fleet, the frigates positioned themselves on the periphery of the defense area. Shortly thereafter, several shuttles, escorted by a squadron of Vulture droid fighters, launched from the frigates towards planet Eliadu. Following closely, the Trade Federation's escort fleet arrived, soon to be joined by the representatives of the Corporate Alliance, Techno Union, and other business conglomerates. Each delegation brought with them a formidable fleet, showcasing their strength and influence. A fleet comprising 10 Vengeance-class light destroyers and 20 Cobalt-class heavy frigates also emerged from hyperspace. On the bridge of one of the Vengeance-class destroyers stood Gross Shelbia, the commercial representative of the Fourth Group, alongside her team. Shelbia, dressed in a black gown adorned with a white feathered flower on her shoulder, exuded elegance and power, resembling a dark lily in full bloom. Yet her expression was one of grave seriousness, haunted by the advice Tang Xiao had given her before departure. Remember, safety first at this meeting. Keep your distance from those droids and avoid aligning too closely with the trade unions. However, we must follow their lead. They set the direction. Tang Xiao had stressed the importance of caution, instilling a sense of foreboding in Shelbia about the summit's proceedings. As more delegations arrived, the space around planet Eliadu became increasingly congested with over 3,000 spacecraft of various sizes. This assembly placed a significant strain on the Republic's judicial fleet, tasked with managing the defense of the area. Not everyone, however, viewed the summit with optimism. Fenis Valorum, that bastard! He dared to deny the Nebula Front's participation in the summit, a furious woman exclaimed through a holographic projection within a deserted automated factory in the Coruscant industrial zone. There was nothing I could do. I personally ensured the Nebula Front's application was presented directly to Valorum, but he dismissed it outright, replied a voice, distorted and oily in tone, that of Darth Sidious. And his reason? She demanded. He dismissed us as merely a terrorist organization unworthy of attending the summit, Sidious replied with a mocking tone. He will regret this. I swear Valorum will pay for his insolence, the woman vowed. Now, we must seek alternative opportunities, as Sidious advised. This is unacceptable. The Eliadu Business Summit represents a unique chance for us. It's an opportunity to expand our operations significantly and potentially forge alliances with the major corporations within the trade union, she argued, unwilling to accept defeat. Darth Sidious, cloaked in shadows, concluded his conversation with a hint of anticipation, as if expecting a further request. It wasn't long before the woman from the Nebula Front, her voice laced with desperation, called out, "Wait, there's one more thing you can assist us with." Sidious, ever the pragmatist, replied smoothly, "Assistance does not come without a cost. Everything has its price." "I need access to the event on planet Eliadu," the woman demanded, her tone growing increasingly frantic. Sidious, hidden beneath his hood, allowed a cold smile to form. "Gaining entry will be challenging. The security on Eliadu is currently at its highest level." "But you can manage it, can't you?" she pressed. The capital city of Eliadu was a spectacle of celebration, adorned with flowers, balloons, streamers, and an array of holographic projections that brought life to every corner. Amidst the festivities, the security was unmistakable and formidable. The Republic Army, donned in gray, stood vigilant throughout the city, their presence a clear statement of the high security. Every few steps, a soldier could be seen, their posture commanding and determined. Adding to the display of might, several dreadnought-class heavy cruisers loomed overhead, their intimidating forms softened slightly by the ribbons and welcome banners that fluttered below them. In the bustling loading and unloading area of the city, a cargo ship was in the process of offloading its contents. The officer overseeing the operation glanced at the metal boxes moving along the conveyor belt, barely suppressing a yawn before turning to the delivery person and asking, "Which shipment is this?" "The 5th for today, with 3 more to follow," the delivery person responded. "All in all, we're delivering 100,000 units of robots." Approaching one of the boxes, the officer opened it to reveal several B-1 combat robots, folded and arranged neatly. Having seen similar contents throughout the day, he quickly signed off on the delivery with a flick of his wrist, signaling, "Move it along for scanning." However, a problem arose as soldiers from the other side called out, "The scanner's broken. It's under repair." Frustrated, the officer exclaimed, "Incredible! With the volume of cargo today, how are we supposed to manage without it?" The delivery person, seizing the opportunity, leaned in and whispered, "Sir, I'm on a tight schedule, and all I'm delivering are robots. You've already cleared 4 shipments this morning, and these are no different. Surely they pose no more risk than the usual cargo." As he spoke, he discreetly slipped an envelope into the officer's pocket. The officer, feigning adjustment of his uniform, assessed the envelope's contents through touch. Satisfied, he gestured dismissively. "All right, move these robots through." This subtle exchange, unnoticed by most, was a testament to the complex interplay of duty and corruption, a reminder that even in a city brimming with security and celebration, vulnerabilities remained. Vol 2, Chapter 249, The Failed Summit, Part 1. The business summit on planet Eliadu proceeded as planned. At 10 a.m. local time, representatives from various sectors arrived at the Sesvena Hall, a venue newly constructed for this occasion, epitomizing luxury and sophistication. The security detail was unprecedented, with forces from all sides present in full regalia. Even the Republic Army, often criticized for its laxity, was alert and vigilant, scanning the surroundings with keen eyes. Additionally, 100,000 B-1 battle droids were integrated into the security protocol, providing a robust supplement to the human guard force. Stationing these droids in strategic locations throughout the venue offered an added layer of reassurance. Outside the venue, a group of Republic Army soldiers engaged in hushed conversations. Can you imagine the total wealth of everyone inside that hall? Do you think it reaches 1 trillion credit points? One soldier mused. Don't even bother with such thoughts. You can't even grasp the magnitude of 1 trillion credit points, another retorted with an eye roll. I just wish they'd wrap up their meeting quickly. Standing guard for 6 hours straight every day is exhausting. I've never felt so worn out, a third soldier lamented. And to think they expect us to keep fit and avoid getting overweight. I've been avoiding meat like the plague, another added. Have you seen the number of robot guards assigned to this meeting? What's the deal with that? One soldier questioned. What do you expect? Those robots are the real deal. Do you think you'd stand a chance against an enemy with your shape? A B-1 could outmaneuver you 5 times over, came the sarcastic reply. Thank goodness for these robots. Otherwise, we might as well be guarding public restrooms, another joked. Indeed. Have you seen Group H? They seem to be having a blast with their assigned team of B-1 robots. Who authorized that? I heard the second lieutenant in Group H has a brother in the Sisvena Sector Defense Fleet commanding a console-class cruiser. There's definitely some influence at play there. Hey, another convoy's approaching. Stand to attention. The soldiers quickly straightened up as a convoy, marked by the Technology Alliance, passed by slowly, flanked by hundreds of B-1 combat robots. Due to summit-imposed traffic restrictions, all vehicles were limited to a height of no more than 1 meter above the ground, with aerial traffic over the city strictly prohibited. The summit officially commenced the following day. The conference hall, spacious and illuminated by natural light, had seating arranged by the economic and political stature of each attending organization. The Galactic Council, overseeing the summit, occupied the premier position, followed by the delegation from the influential Trade Alliance and the Interstellar Banking Association, as well as military representatives from the Republic's judicial fleet. The Trade Alliance, a conglomerate of numerous enterprises, including notable ones like the Quarter Power Shipyard and the Corellian Interstellar Engineering Company, had a delegation exceeding 50 members. Notably, the Quarter Power Dock, a titan in the industry, held memberships in both the Trade Alliance and the Technology Alliance, sending 2 sets of representatives to the summit. Following these were the Techno Union and the Enterprise Union, then the Business Guild, the Stark Veterans Association, and representatives of the Hutts. The Damask Holding Group also participated, albeit from a less prominent position. Subsequent seats were occupied by observers, entities with no direct influence on galactic affairs, but whose presence signified recognition of their status within the galaxy. This included companies like the Fourth Group. Even so, securing a seat at such a prestigious summit was considered a high honor, symbolizing recognition on a galactic scale. At the summit, the presence of Claire Underwood, the founder of the Milky Way Outer Ring Planet Mutual Aid Fund, was noteworthy. He received an invitation and was allocated a seat, a privilege not extended to Francis Underwood. Despite his significant contributions, Francis was ineligible to participate due to Dawn Planet's lack of formal political status. This gesture from Schiff Palpatine seemed to be an olive branch to both Francis and Dawn Planet. However, the summit faced challenges from the outset. Phoenix Valoran, in his opening remarks, discussed the galactic economic community and the era of great prosperity. He then introduced a significant proposal. The Galactic Republic sought assistance from major commercial and economic entities in conducting an economic census in the Outer Rim region. In return, these entities would be allowed to build large warships, surpassing the limitations set by the Russen Conference. This proposal aimed to relax shipbuilding restrictions based on the size and capabilities of these economic entities, allowing them to construct warships with enhanced dimensions, firepower, and hyperspace performance. Phoenix Valoran anticipated a positive response, as the Russen Conference had imposed strict regulations on spacecraft specifications. Under these regulations, no organization, except the Republic's judicial fleet, could build warships exceeding 200 meters. Additionally, the power of warship weapons and the level of hyperspace engines were tightly controlled. Lifting these restrictions would enable the Trade Alliance to construct up to 150 large warships without constraints on size, weapon power, or hyperspace engine level, significantly bolstering their strength. According to the proposal, the Interstellar Banking Association could build 120 large warships, the Technology Alliance 100, and the Enterprise Alliance 80, with commercial guilds allowed to construct 50 ships. This bill, if passed, would fundamentally alter the galaxy's business ecosystem and solidify the status of these enterprises. However, Phoenix Valoran's proposal was met with skepticism. The trade union representative highlighted the galaxy's current state of unrest and the threat posed by interstellar pirates, referencing a recent dispute on Tatooine that deterred caravans from passing near the planet. The presence of Hammerhead-class cruisers among the pirates underscored the urgency of lifting the Ruusan Treaty's shipbuilding restrictions. The representative questioned the speaker's rationale for using the proposal as leverage, implying that it was an attempt to extract more from the trade union. Phoenix Valoran defended the Ruusan Agreement, emphasizing that it was established by a direct order from the Galactic Republic's speaker at the time, and could not be questioned without an administrative order of equivalent authority. Heroes among its members. The tension in the room escalated as the representative from the Stark Veterans Association confronted Ford Tonis. The atmosphere was charged with anger and frustration, reflecting the deep divisions among the various factions present at the summit. Enough! Phoenix Valoran's voice cut through the chaos, commanding attention. We are here to find solutions, not to hurl accusations at each other. The safety of our trade routes and the well-being of our planets are at stake. We must work together to address these challenges, not tear each other apart. The room fell into a tense silence, with each representative reflecting on Valoran's words. The gravity of the situation was clear. The Republic's outer ring star region was vulnerable, and the current security measures were insufficient to protect it. The debate over the Ruusan Agreement and the capabilities of the Republic's judicial fleet had exposed deep-seated concerns about the Republic's ability to maintain peace and security. Valoran continued, the Republic's judicial fleet is committed to ensuring the safety of all regions under its jurisdiction. However, it is clear that we need to reassess our strategies and capabilities. We must also consider the role of private enterprises and mercenaries in bolstering our defenses. He turned to the representative of the Enterprise Alliance, his tone firm yet conciliatory. While we appreciate the initiative taken by private entities to enhance their security, we must ensure that such actions are in alignment with Republic laws and treaties. The use of combat footage for commercial purposes, especially without proper context, is not only distasteful but also potentially harmful to the Republic's image and morale. Addressing the concerns raised by Ford Tonis regarding the economic census and the financial pressure on outer ring planets, Valoran acknowledged the complexity of the issue. We must find a balance between ensuring the security of our trade routes and supporting the economic development of the outer ring. This will require cooperation and compromise from all parties involved. As the summit continued, it became clear that finding common ground would be challenging. The failed summit highlighted the need for a comprehensive review of the Republic's defense policies and the importance of fostering collaboration among the various factions. The safety of the Republic's trade routes and the stability of its outer regions depended on it. In the end, the summit did not yield the desired outcomes, but it did open a dialogue among the various stakeholders. It was a painful reminder that the Republic's strength lay in its unity and that division and infighting only served to weaken it. The path forward would be difficult, but with determination and cooperation, the Republic could overcome the challenges that lay ahead. The atmosphere in the room was tense, with heroes and their military and political influence casting a significant shadow over the proceedings. The military stance seemed to carry a particular weight, and Ford Tonis, sensing the mood, chose to gracefully reseat himself after a brief moment of tension. It was then that Congressman Schiff Palpatine rose to speak, his presence commanding a sudden calm over the previously restless crowd. His words, imbued with a persuasive calm, urged everyone, especially the representatives of the Enterprise Alliance, to maintain decorum, hinting at the unseemliness of their previous behavior. Palpatine's voice, steady and authoritative, reminded the Assembly of the Russian Conference Agreement, a cornerstone of the Galactic Republic's direction for the last millennium. He acknowledged the agreement might seem outdated, but stressed that disregarding it would equate to violating the very constitution of the Republic. His gaze then turned to the Trade Federation's representative, questioning their willingness to halt commerce out of spite, affecting billions of their employees. The Trade Federation's representative, momentarily lost for words, eventually conceded, muttering a response in the Nemoidian dialect before taking his seat. Palpatine's attention then shifted to the fourth group, specifically addressing Gross Shelbia with a directive to cease all controversial advertisements immediately. Despite the public reprimand, Gross Shelbia, keeping Tang Xiao's request in mind, responded with a deep bow to Palpatine, her gesture one of respect rather than submission. Her excitement was palpable. Being recognized, even in criticism, at such a prestigious event was invaluable publicity for her company, far surpassing the effectiveness of any conventional advertising campaign. As the first day of the summit concluded, the delegates retreated to their accommodations, leaving behind a web of intrigue and clandestine activities. The undercurrents of secret alliances, information gathering, and illicit dealings hinted at the brewing storm set to erupt in the next day's session. Some attendees even prepared themselves for verbal confrontations, honing their rhetoric in anticipation of the debates to come. However, nothing could have prepared them for the shock that awaited on the second day. As the representatives reconvened, ready to delve into the heart of their disputes, a sudden explosion shattered the semblance of order, marking a dramatic escalation in the conflict and stripping away the last vestiges of the Galactic Republic's facade of unity. Vol 2, Chapter 251, Business Summit, Terrorist Attack. The morning after the summit dawned bright and clear on planet Eliadu. Representatives from various organizations had awoken from their slumber, assisted by attendants in their morning preparations. They enjoyed a light yet nutritious and delicious breakfast, gearing up for the day's events at the summit. A few months prior, Eliadu had invested in an advanced environmental modification system capable of purifying the atmosphere to ensure the air was pristine. This environment made everyone feel more relaxed and content. However, the fresh air did little to herald peace. In the heart of Eliadu, close to Sesvena Hall, the summit's venue, an inconspicuous residential building housed 5 suspicious individuals. They surveyed the hall through binoculars, an oddity considering all surrounding houses were supposed to be vacant. Yet, these individuals had not only entered with ease, but also remained undetected by the B-1 battle robots stationed nearby. Those familiar with Darth Sidious's previous communications could identify the group's leader as the woman who had been in contact with Sidious. From her vantage point, the woman inquired softly, "Has Phoenix Valorum's itinerary been confirmed? Which team is he with?" A subordinate, examining a peculiar communication device, responded, "It's been sent. That person informed us Phoenix Valorum is with the 4th team." "Is the device ready?" she asked another member of the group. "Everything is in place." That person was correct. Our 15,000 B-1 robots were positioned at Sesvena Hall's entrance as the 4th convoy approached. And the bomb? It's with the 10 robots in another B-1 group, currently being toyed with by Guard Unit H. A sinister smile twisted the woman's features. "Ha! Let's proceed. Today, the Nebula Front's name will echo across the galaxy." As the delegates' convoys arrived at the venue, they were met with stringent security measures enforced by the Republic Army and B-1 combat robots. The absence of the B-1 battle robot team outside the windows instilled a deep sense of security among the attendees. These indefatigable machines seemed far more reliable than the Republic Army, known for its lax discipline and training. However, as the 4th team neared the venue's entrance, the observers from the Nebula Front activated their device. Suddenly, chaos erupted. A tactical command robot overseeing the B-1 battle droids targeted the convoy, declaring, If unauthorized terrorists enter, eliminate them immediately. Received. Received. A B-1 combat robot promptly retrieved a bazooka from its back, aimed at the convoy, and fired. Boom! The rocket detonated in front of the convoy. Although it missed the central vehicle, the explosion ignited a fierce confrontation. Destroy the terrorists. Eliminate all targets, the tactical robot commanded. The 15,000 B-1 combat robots, previously stationed neatly along the road, drew their E-5 blaster rifles and advanced towards the venue, unleashing a barrage of energy beams. The convoy's occupants, trapped inside their vehicles, could only hope their hover cars' energy shields would protect them. But the B-1 battle robots were relentless. Several robots launched rockets at the vehicles. Dozens of rockets exploded against the shields, which quickly became overloaded. Following a series of violent explosions, the luxurious hover cars were reduced to burning wreckage. Everyone, in the midst of chaos, a tactical robot issued its final command before the microbomb within its processor detonated, engulfing its head in flames. It fell to the ground, its remains sparking, rendered completely inoperative. However, the B-1 combat robots, following their last received orders, did not cease their assault. They obliterated the fourth convoy and stormed the venue, initiating a merciless slaughter. The venue staff, delegates from various regions, and other robots fell within their indiscriminate target range. The scene descended into pandemonium, with fires raging, energy beams crisscrossing, relentless killing machines on the prowl, and the ground littered with the disfigured bodies of victims. The security personnel reacted promptly. The B-1 combat robots, previously inactive, were the quickest to respond, entering the venue to confront the threat. Yet, a horrifying realization dawned upon them. The rampaging robots bore legitimate identification numbers, leading to a catastrophic conclusion in their processors. There were no enemies to be found. The massacre continued unabated, the number of casualties mounting, with no end in sight. Finally, the Republic Army mobilized, albeit reluctantly. The commander, driven to desperation, issued a frantic order. It's the B-1 battle robots causing the mayhem. Ignore everything else. If it's a robot, destroy it. He led his troops towards the venue, urgently calling for armored reinforcements. Where are the armored units? We need them here immediately. However, an enormous explosion erupted from the street's direction, far surpassing the magnitude of a typical rocket blast. The force was so immense it demolished several buildings, the debris effectively barricading the street. This unforeseen obstacle forced the armored units to seek an alternate route. The terrorists are aware of our movements. An officer exclaimed in dismay. Prioritize the safety of the speaker at all costs, he ordered, amidst calls for additional support. The Republic Army, upon arriving, engaged the robots in a fierce shootout. With the robots varying in functionality, some normal and others aberrant, the soldiers had no choice but to eliminate all robotic presences. Eventually, a voice of reason emerged among the chaos, issuing a strategic command: corral all the malfunctioning robots and direct them to the outskirts. This directive offered a glimmer of hope, a potential end to the relentless violence that had engulfed the venue. Chapter 252, Galactic Shock. The Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser, on high alert in the sky, flew over the venue, lowering its altitude. However, the crew aboard did not dare to unleash the devastating power of the main gun. Instead, they resorted to using the close-range turrets to eliminate the B-1 battle droids. Laser beams rained down from above, striking each droid with unerring precision, regardless of whether they were malfunctioning or not. The scene resembled an apocalyptic downpour of fire. Jedi Knights were also present, assisting in the defense of the venue, primarily stationed within the conference center. When the B-1 battle droids began their riot, the Jedi found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer number of robotic adversaries. Their only option was to defend the entrance to the conference center, preventing the droids from breaching the premises. The droids, driven by their programming to seek out signs of life, were particularly focused on infiltrating the convention center, especially after the massacre in Sesvena Hall. More than 20 Jedi Knights stood guard at the door, engaging in a desperate battle. Amidst the relentless barrage, 3 Jedi apprentices lost their lives, and 5 other knights sustained injuries, necessitating immediate medical attention. The entrance to the conference center was littered with the wreckage of hundreds of B-1 battle droids. After more than an hour of intense conflict, the rioting robots were finally neutralized. However, it was more accurate to say that all the robots in Eliada City were eradicated, including those ordered to be relocated outside the city, which were destroyed by direct fire from the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser. The incident left everyone questioning their reliance on robots. Phoenix Valorum, the Speaker of the Galactic Council, was among the fortunate. He had already entered the meeting room with Deputy Speaker Botan to discuss the day's agenda when the chaos erupted outside. The sound of explosions and gunfire left him in shock, struggling to comprehend the reality of a terrorist attack marring a high-profile business summit of the Galactic Republic. The incident was a humiliating blow to the Republic's prestige, raising doubts about its future and its ability to protect even its highest officials. Immediately escorted to a safe shelter over 200 meters underground, Phoenix Valorum was overcome with emotion, coughing up blood in his distress. "Why? Why is this happening?" he demanded, seizing the Republic's Minister of Security by the neck, his voice thunderous with rage. "This matter must be thoroughly investigated." Gross Shelby, representing the Fourth Group, had fortunately avoided the riot due to her team's prior arrangements. Yet, the horror of the riot left her shaken to the core. Watching live footage of the robots mercilessly slaughtering everyone in sight, people who were alive and well just the day before, many of whom she had interacted with, was too much to bear. Witnessing a squad of B-1 battle droids marching over corpses, their metallic feet stained with the blood of their victims, Gross Shelby turned off the video in horror and fled to the garden, where she was sickened by the violence. Only then did she realize the gravity of Tang Xiao's repeated warnings. As someone deeply involved in the business affairs of the Fourth Group, she could never have imagined witnessing such a terrifying scene. It was a brutal awakening to the harsh reality lurking beneath the Galactic Republic's facade of prosperity and order. The Eliadu Business Summit, intended to be a landmark event, collapsed in disarray. Just one day into the meeting, it was devastated by a terrorist attack that would leave a lasting scar on the Galactic Republic. Over 15,000 B-1 battle droids stormed into Sesvena Hall, initiating a vicious and brutal massacre. Preliminary estimates indicated that the casualties exceeded 10,000, most of whom were staff and guards at the venue. When the Republic Army intervened to quell the robot uprising, it too suffered significant losses, with more than 3,000 casualties, including 2 who were overpowered by the droids, despite the robots being fewer in number and disorganized. This incident laid bare the vulnerabilities of the Republic's defense forces. The chaos had barely subsided when, an hour after the attack commenced, a group known as the Front made a bold declaration. A woman identifying herself as Hawak, a leader within the group, claimed responsibility for the terrorist act at the Eliadu Business Summit. She stated their objective was to expose the hypocrisy of Galactic Council Speaker Finins Valo to the entire galaxy. Hawak urged all planets in the Outer Rim to band together against the Galactic Republic's unjust taxation, criticizing the Republic for demanding taxes without offering protection or financial support in return. According to her, the Republic was only interested in exploiting the Outer Rim for its resources. Meanwhile, in the still tumultuous city center of Eriadu, where the business summit had taken place, 2 determined figures navigated through the debris. Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi, were on the move. "Master, do we really need to do this?" Master Windu has already instructed all Jedi Knights involved in the defense effort to report to the conference center immediately and refrain from engaging in any investigative activities. Obi-Wan expressed his concerns. Qui-Gon Jinn, leaping over a 5-meter-high collapsed wall with Obi-Wan, responded firmly, "How can we not partake in the investigation? If we stand back, the truth will remain hidden. The Republic's military and law enforcement are deeply flawed. It's impossible for them to unravel this situation accurately." Obi-Wan pondered his master's words before replying, "I believe Master Windu has his reasons. It's been said that even with the participation of our Jedi Knights, the terrorist attack couldn't have been prevented. Furthermore, Speaker Valorum seems to have lost faith in the Jedi Order. Qui-Gon Jinn halted, gazing into the distance. Whether Valorum trusts the Jedi Order is of no concern to me, nor should it be to Master Windu. What matters now is finding those truly responsible for this attack. Politics within the Council should not distract us from our duty as Jedi Knights. He continued with conviction. Such a large-scale terrorist attack couldn't have been orchestrated from afar. The perpetrators must still be nearby. Chapter 253, A Common Ideal. Obi-Wan Kenobi surveyed the scene of destruction, feeling the weight of the situation. Despite the respect usually afforded to Jedi Knights across the galaxy, he could sense a palpable sense of alienation and distrust from some of the Republic Army soldiers. It was clear that Chancellor Finis Valorum's displeasure with the Jedi Order had spread, influencing the perceptions of those around them. The decree that barred members of the Jedi Order from participating in any investigations was a severe indictment. It's more serious than we thought, Obi-Wan sighed, the gravity of the situation settling in. Qui-Gon Jinn, ever the optimist, countered, You might say it can't get any worse. Remember, this terrorist attack occurred right under the noses of the Speaker and the judicial fleet. The galaxy might be on the brink of chaos. As they spoke, Qui-Gon chose a direction seemingly at random and started walking. Obi-Wan, puzzled, hurried to keep up. Master, do you know where the perpetrator is? The Force will guide us, Qui-Gon replied, his voice steady. In the air, there's not only grief and anger, but also a deep, dark malice. Let's go. Meanwhile, in a secluded house on the outskirts of Ariado, the members of the Nebula Front found themselves in a precarious situation. Havok, the nominal leader of the Nebula Front, paced anxiously. Has the escape spacecraft arrived yet? She demanded, having just broadcasted the Nebula Front's manifesto to the Galaxy Information Network. Her question was met with silence. The 5 individuals who had infiltrated the location were trapped, with no knowledge of an escape route. The person we were in contact with hasn't responded. The entire planet is under blockade, and there's not a single spaceship in sight, one of her subordinates reported, frustration evident in his voice. Havok, driven to desperation, attempted to contact Sidious using a unique communicator, but her messages vanished into the void, unanswered. Suddenly, one of the subordinates monitoring planetary news broadcasts called out, "Boss, you need to see this!" Havok rushed over, only to see a news segment on the holographic TV. The host of the Republic News Network announced, "We have urgent news. In light of the horrific terrorist attack at the Ariado Business Summit, Galactic Republic Speaker Finis Valorum will address the galaxy. We hope for unity as we face these challenges together." The screen then showed Chancellor Phoenix Valorum, who condemned the terrorist attack with righteous indignation, vowing to hunt down the most vicious terrorist organization in the galaxy, the Nebula Front. Havok's blaster pistol clattered to the floor as she stared at the screen in disbelief. How? How is this possible? I should have killed Valorum. He was supposed to be in the 4th team. Her voice grew louder and more frantic, her grip tightening on a subordinate's shoulder as she spiraled into hysteria. The broadcast continued, mourning the loss of the representatives, including those from the trade union and the quarter power dock. Wait, the trade union? The quarter power dock? Why them? I was supposed to kill Phoenix Valorum, another subordinate exclaimed. Havok collapsed to the ground, her eyes empty. The realization hit her. She had been betrayed. From the beginning, she was nothing but a disposable pawn to be cast aside without a second thought. The escape spacecraft they were promised would never arrive. As they grappled with this betrayal, footsteps approached from outside, signaling the arrival of an unforeseen development. The door burst open with a loud bang as it was forcefully kicked in. One of the men, acting on instinct, raised his gun and fired. However, the buzzing sound of a green lightsaber cut through the air, deflecting the blaster beam straight back into the chest of the assailant. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped through the doorway. "You are under arrest, in the name of the Jedi Order," they declared. Havok, teeth clenched in fury, scrambled to pick up a pistol from the ground. With a fierce shout, he began shooting wildly at them. Later, in a dimly lit room, the holographic projection of a thin figure appeared. The man had a receding hairline, high cheekbones, and sunken eyes, but his gaze was as sharp as an eagle's. Everything unfolded just as we anticipated, didn't it? My friend, Deputy Governor Wilhoff Tarkin, said Sheev Palpatine, his voice light yet carrying an ominous tone. The fools of the Nebula Front are oblivious. They dare to think they can intimidate you, Deputy Governor Tarkin replied with a cold sneer. But in reality, they are clueless. They have no idea why the droids were deployed or the sequence in which the representatives were arranged at the venue. Palpatine's smile turned sinister. This terrorist attack will be the downfall of Finis Valorum, exposing the corruption within the Republic to the entire galaxy. What we need is a power as unyielding as steel, not a republic as feeble as a sickly camel beast, Tarkin agreed. Valorum still plays a crucial role in this narrative. He cannot be removed from the equation yet. At this most chaotic and vulnerable time for the Republic, figures like him are necessary to shoulder all the blame, Palpatine mused. I eagerly await that day, Tarkin said, anticipation lacing his words. It won't be long now. Despite his efforts, Valorum won't be able to prevent Deputy Speaker Botan from being ousted. He will soon find himself isolated within the vast Galactic Senate, Palpatine predicted. The galaxy needs a war. We need a war. Only through the crucible of blood and fire can we purify and salvage what is essential. From the ashes of this decaying republic, a true power will rise, Tarkin declared, his eyes alight with madness. Palpatine responded with a knowing smile. This is our shared vision. Vol 2, Chapter 254, Aftermath. The Eliadu Business Summit was destined to become a farce from the start. Representatives from various sectors left in a huff after a riot of robots disrupted the proceedings, marking the beginning of a series of unfortunate events. Firstly, the incensed Speaker of the Galactic Council, Finis Valorum, declared a comprehensive investigation into the terrorist attack. He was convinced that there were collaborators both within and outside the Nebula Front. Meanwhile, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn managed to apprehend the leader of the Nebula Front on the planet Eliadu, confirming the group's direct involvement. However, the suspect remained tight-lipped, leaving the Republic's judiciary baffled. Despite knowing there must be accomplices, this individual seemed unaware of their identities. The investigation faced significant obstacles from the start, with all leads abruptly ending. The individuals involved, a receiving officer, a scanner technician, and a robot transporter, seemed insignificant. Delving deeper into the investigation felt like uncovering a vast network designed to obfuscate the truth, making further progress impossible. It was evident that military personnel had a hand in the attack, given their intimate knowledge of the defenders, deployments, and the strategic placement of the robots. Yet any investigation into the military's involvement hit a dead end, yielding no results. Ultimately, the blame was squarely placed on the Nebula Front, leading to the arrest of a few clerks, radical reporters, and other low-level personnel. This terrorist attack also cast a shadow over the Congress of the Galactic Republic, the summit's organizer, leading to widespread criticism. Amidst the backlash, Botan, the deputy speaker of the Galactic Congress, resigned and later passed away due to illness. The esteemed Naboo planetary counselor Sheev Palpatine declined the offer to succeed him, leaving the position to the young and ambitious Mas Amedda. Such outcomes were far from satisfying for Finis Valorum. The attack had backed him into a corner, driving him to direct his frustration towards the Jedi Order. He decreed that the Jedi would henceforth be excluded from any affairs of the Galactic Republic unless specifically commissioned by the Galactic Council. While Master Mace Windu was infuriated by this decision, Master Yoda accepted it with his usual calm. Valorum suspected corporate magnates were behind the attack, and with the summit's issues unresolved, he unilaterally declared that the Galactic Republic would implement tax policies in the Outer Rim territories. Every planet in these sectors was required to cooperate with the Republic in conducting economic censuses and settling taxes. This decision sparked outrage in the Parliament, particularly among members from the Outer Rim, who vehemently rejected the new tax policy. They argued that the Republic's judicial fleet needed to demonstrate its ability to protect the outer planets. The terrorist attack also precipitated a seismic shift among the corporate giants. The Trade Federation's fourth convoy, targeted by the Nebula Front, suffered almost total losses, including delegates from the galaxy's largest shipbuilder and industrial giant, Quarter Power Dockyard. The death of several top executives in one fell swoop provoked fury within the Trade Federation, leading Quarter Power Dock to announce its withdrawal from the Union a month later. The announcement from Quarter Power Dock that it would sever ties with the Technical Alliance and pursue its path independently, distancing itself from commercial alliances, initially seemed to shake the trade union. However, a more significant upheaval overshadowed these concerns. The Trade Federation, a leading economic force in the galaxy, was plunged into chaos following a terrorist attack that claimed the life of its governor and the entire executive team. This power vacuum paved the way for Newt Gunray, who had been lying in wait, to ascend to the role of governor of the Trade Federation with decisive and swift action. With the backing of high-ranking officials like Rune Harkow, Gunray solidified his control over the Trade Federation, marking a significant shift in power dynamics within the Union. This transition was subtly influenced by the machinations of Darth Sidious and Francis Underwood, who maneuvered their protégés into positions of power within this vast economic entity. The departure of Quarter Power Dock from the Alliance and the rise of Newt Gunray signified a shift in the Trade Federation's leadership to the Neimoidians, along with a change in economic policy direction. The terrorist attack also had repercussions beyond the Trade Federation, leading Ford Tonys, the co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association, to withdraw from the upcoming general election. This left Thornhill as the frontrunner for the position, virtually guaranteeing his election as the next co-chairman. After weeks of turmoil, the major corporate entities, including the Trade Union, the Interstellar Banking Association, the Enterprise Alliance, the Commercial Guild, and the Technology Alliance, issued a joint statement. They collectively denounced the Galactic Republic's unilateral taxation of the Outer Rim territories as an affront to galactic democracy. In a bold move, these corporations declared the restrictions on the size of warships imposed by the Rusan reform as null and void, signaling their intention to build and acquire large warships without restraint. The fourth group aligned itself with the Trade Union, joining the joint statement and openly criticizing the Galactic Republic. However, they discreetly removed their advertisements featuring the Battle of Malastar Fjords, likely due to pressure from Schiff Palpatine. In a defiant response to the corporate giant's provocations, the Galactic Republic found itself at a disadvantage, having lost the support of the judicial fleet. In contrast, Quarter Power Docks subtly revealed their ongoing spacecraft project, the Cheer-class assault landing ship, as a direct challenge to the escalating tensions. This move underscored the complex web of alliances and conflicts shaping the galaxy's political and economic landscape. Vol 2, Chapter 255, The Arms Race That Just Began. The Cheer-class assault landing ship, officially known as the Cheer-class trans-military transport ship, is a masterpiece of military engineering designed and constructed by Rossana Heavy Engineering, a subsidiary of Quat Power Dock. This formidable warship boasts dimensions of 752 meters in length, 460 meters in width, and 200 meters in height, presenting a flat and broad triangular silhouette. Positioned at the rear of the vessel, a compact bridge operates without portholes, prioritizing protection and relying entirely on sophisticated navigation systems and sensors for operation. Armed to the teeth, the Cheer-class assault landing ships feature an impressive arsenal, including 12 quadruple-mounted turbo laser turrets, 4 sets of proton torpedo launchers, and 24-point defense turrets. The majority of these turrets are strategically placed along the sides of the hull, facilitating effective orbital bombardment. Additionally, to address the demands of landing operations, these ships are outfitted with exceptionally thick armor, particularly at the bottom of the hull, where the armor is significantly reinforced. This advanced armor incorporates cutting-edge technology by compressing scattered neutrons directly into the material, substantially increasing its neutron density and enabling it to withstand direct hits from proton torpedoes. With such formidable firepower and protection, the Cheer-class assault landing ship is a force to be reckoned with, even among battleships. Each vessel can transport up to 16,000 soldiers, 80 fighter jets, and 84 tank armored vehicles, along with 320 armed hoverbikes for reconnaissance purposes. The ship's powerful engines ensure seamless entry and exit from a planet's atmosphere, enabling it to transport an entire legion of soldiers and provide comprehensive support, including air cover and orbital bombardment. The introduction of the Cheer-class assault landing ship blatantly violates the Rusan Reform Agreement, signaling that Quat Power Dock has disregarded the agreement for years. With the ship now in the testing phase, Quat Power Dock's message is clear. They have developed a highly capable and versatile battleship, available for purchase regardless of the Galactic Republic's stance. In response, the Trade Federation unveiled two initiatives. The first involves converting their massive cargo ships into formidable warships. The second plan is a collaboration with Lundley Interstellar Dynamics to develop a new generation of warships, building upon the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser to suit modern warfare requirements. This ambitious project, dubbed Project Providence, involves the Quarren, renowned for their shipbuilding prowess, and has led to the formation of the Freedak Volunteer Engineering Group. Several other corporate giants have also announced their plans to enter the warship construction arena. However, the most surprising development came from the fourth group, which, immediately following Quat Power Dock's announcement, unveiled the Apocalypse-class light cruiser. Measuring 344 meters in length, this vessel was initially classified as a destroyer, but has been reclassified as a light cruiser according to the Fourth Civilization standards. The Apocalypse class is equipped with two double-mounted large plasma cannons and two double-mounted Dowlins. The Apocalypse-class light cruiser, renowned for its impressive firepower and astonishing agility, has become a hallmark of the Fourth Fleet's naval architecture. This cruiser, with its speed and maneuverability rivaling that of the 108-meter-long Vengeance-class destroyer, represents a new era of high mobility and high firepower warships. The fleet's design philosophy doesn't aim for a jack-of-all-trades approach. Instead, each ship, from the Revenge-class destroyers to the Cobalt-class heavy frigates and now the Apocalypse-class light cruisers, is built with a specific role in mind. The Apocalypse-class, for instance, is tasked with targeting the enemy's flagship, prioritizing speed, flexibility, and striking power over defensive capabilities like point defense turrets. Future combat strategies of the Fourth Civilization delegate air defense to other ships or fighter jets. Despite its capabilities, the Apocalypse-class light cruiser skirts the limits set by the Rusan Reform Treaty, though not as overtly as the Cheer-class assault landing ship. The latter, being exclusive to the Republic, cannot be distributed to other factions without risking the dissemination of a potent planetary assault capability. The Apocalypse class, however, strikes a balance between power and accessibility, with a price tag of 3.5 million credits that many organizations can afford. The Fourth Fleet has even announced the commencement of production for these cruisers, promising the first ship will begin construction within a year. This development has sent ripples across the Milky Way, signaling to various organizations that the Fourth Fleet has outpaced even the industrial might of the Quarter Power Dock. While the Apocalypse class may not match the 325-meter-long Aquitaines-class light cruiser in performance, its earlier introduction gives it a significant advantage in the light cruiser market. This move has caught the attention of industrial giants and business conglomerates alike, leading to a unified yet competitive response. In their pursuit of dominance, these entities have repeatedly disregarded the Rusan Reform Treaty, effectively trampling on the efforts of Phoenix Valorum, president of the Galactic Council, who had hoped to negotiate with these powerhouses by easing treaty restrictions. This blatant disregard for the treaty has not just metaphorically slapped Valorum in the face, it's as if they've stomped on his dignity with disdain. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Cheer-class assault landing ship. Attachment 2 of the Easter egg chapter, Apocalypse-class light cruiser. Vol 2, Chapter 256, Transition Period. The Eliadu Business Summit was a pivotal moment for the Fourth Civilization, not because of the summit's inherent importance, but due to the significant consequences of its failure. The aftermath of the terrorist attack on the summit led to a series of dramatic shifts in the galactic power dynamics. Here's a summary of the events that unfolded. Initially, the failure of the business summit prompted the Galactic Republic Council to assert its authority, essentially saying, regardless of the summit's outcome, we've already collected taxes from the outer ring star regions. The Republic's judicial fleet, however, remained indifferent, adopting a stance of non-interference in the Republic's actions. In response, the Quat power dock seized the opportunity, offering to construct battleships for those willing to pay, effectively bypassing the Republic's control. This move was quickly followed by major corporate giants, who boldly declared their intention to disregard the Rusan Treaty and resume the construction of large warships, challenging the Republic to enforce its tax collection. The representatives from the outer ring star regions, feeling oppressed by the Republic's heavy-handed tactics, decided to withdraw, signaling the start of an arms race. The galaxy's security situation deteriorated rapidly as entities began to treat the Rusan Treaty as null and void. Previously, space travel was dominated by small spacecraft or ships no longer than a few tens of meters. Now, the emergence of cruisers measuring up to 4,500 meters in length posed a direct threat to any adversary. This shift was particularly alarming for the Fourth Civilization, which had previously only encountered small bounty hunter ships. The prospect of facing cruisers meant that surrender would be their only option. Consequently, planets, especially those in the outer ring star region, started to prioritize their security. The Republic's influence in these regions was nominal, with local defense fleets offering minimal protection. The true connection between the Republic and these outer regions was maintained through economic and trade relations with corporate giants, a relationship reminiscent of the trade alliance's origins. Amidst this turmoil, the Fourth Group launched its first light cruiser, the Apocalypse class. While not powerful enough to draw direct Republic intervention, it was significantly more advanced than any ship available on the black market. The Fourth Group's reputation soared after being publicly criticized by Palpatine at the summit, using footage of the Republic's fleet being outmaneuvered in their marketing campaigns. The demand for the Fourth Group's ships, including the Vengeance-class light destroyer, Ghost Fighter, Cobalt Alloy-class heavy frigate, and the newly introduced Apocalypse-class light cruiser, skyrocketed. Within just 1 month, they received orders totaling over 100 million credits. Despite this rapid success, Tang Xiao, the leader of the Fourth Group, remained composed. Aboard the Glory Mothership in the Endor Galaxy, Tang Xiao convened with key members of his team, Administration Minister Daphne Clement, Chief Engineer of the Scientific Research Department Qi Jianjun, Chief of Staff Qi Jian, Deputy Minister of the Supreme Command Carls Wharton, and the Chief of the Navy Commander. Together, they strategized their next moves, mindful of the delicate balance of power and the escalating arms race that threatened the galaxy's stability. Igor Zavalov and Army Commander Xiao Guanghua were deep in discussion at a high-level military meeting. As you've observed, the dynamics within the Milky Way have significantly shifted. It's been 2 years since our arrival in this universe, and during this period, the risk factor associated with the Milky Way has escalated. The recent Eliadu Business Summit has merely ignited existing tensions, and I foresee many more such events in the future. Tang Xiao explained with a measured tone. We've evolved from our initial state. We're now among the elite forces in the galaxy capable of independently designing and manufacturing large warships. Qi Jian interjected, his excitement palpable due to the recent surge in sales. However, our primary focus remains on expansion. As a manager, this perspective should be clear to you. I won't belabor the point, Professor Qi Jianjun added, his voice carrying the weight of experience. Tang Xiao acknowledged Qi Jianjun's input with a nod before addressing Qi Jian. You must grasp that our current momentum isn't solely due to our strengths or capabilities, but rather our strategic foresight. Preparing for potential dangers is our foundational principle, especially given the current instability of our environment. I assure you, within a year, you'll witness transformative changes in this galaxy, heralding the real challenges we'll face. A year? Does that mean the issues stemming from the Eliadu Business Summit could escalate within that time frame? Zavalov inquired, his brow furrowed in concern. Exactly, which is why we need a definitive strategy, Tang Xiao asserted. rising to emphasize his point. Previously, our objective was to ensure our safety. However, from this moment forward, our aim shifts towards preparing for an inevitable, all-out war. The gravity of the situation was palpable among those present. Tang Xiao continued, "The residents currently in hibernation are expected to awaken within 6 months, with the exception of those possessing special talents beyond the master level. Moreover, in 2 years, the first generation of individuals from our frozen embryo population will reach adulthood, marking our first population surge. Yet, this alone won't suffice. My ambition is to bolster our planet's population to at least 2 billion individuals by the onset of the war. I will dedicate my efforts towards achieving this goal," Daphne Clemente pledged. Additionally, we require a long-term strategy for our Starfleet and Marine Corps, including a comprehensive plan for our fleet. In the war that looms a decade ahead, we must determine the composition of our main fleet. This requires clear direction, Tang Xiao stated, turning to Professor Qi Jianjun for affirmation. Qi Jianjun responded, "I've compiled the data on our current battleships and projected future constructions. Some of these vessels will be marketed, while others will serve as the backbone of our combat forces. We'll delve into these details in our forthcoming discussions." With a press of a button, he activated the holographic display, revealing a detailed list of hundreds of battleships, both large and small, setting the stage for their strategic planning. Vol 2, Chapter 257, 10-Year Plan. After several days of intense discussions, Tang Xiao, along with the military management of the Fourth Civilization, officially formulated their first 10-year plan. This ambitious plan was structured into 3 distinct phases, each with its own set of goals and strategies. The initial phase focused on leveraging the Homeland technology tree's spaceships primarily for foreign trade. Despite the ongoing mass production of warships, the plan outlined a dual-purpose approach, utilizing these warships for the civilization's defense and selling them when surplus to requirements. The revenue generated from these sales was earmarked for forging alliances with other galactic powers, exchanging warship technology for increased production capabilities. In essence, the strategy involved partnering with industrially advanced and populous planets to utilize their resources and labor for constructing battleship production lines. These battleships would then be sold back to these planets at discounted rates. Furthermore, the plan proposed the integration of the space dock on Dawn Planet, inspired by the Quarter Planet's model. Professor Qi Jianjun suggested connecting the existing battleship docks to form a star ring around the planet, transforming the entire Starlink into a colossal battleship manufacturing hub. This phase aimed at bolstering the Fourth Civilization's production system through the construction of numerous warships within the Homeland system. These warships, once deemed surplus, could be sold, including their blueprints, provided the profits were substantial. Despite the Homeland warships being technologically inferior to those in Star Wars, their blueprints were still highly sought after, especially when considering Naboo Planet's pride in their N1 starfighters' independent development. The second phase delineated the future operational framework of the fleet. The Fourth Civilization's Starfleet was envisioned to revolve around a battleship strike group with an aircraft carrier serving as its nucleus. This structure was designed to unleash the full combat potential of fighter jets, from the current Ghost fighters to the X-Wing fighters Tang Xiao aimed to acquire. Thus, the aircraft carrier's pivotal role in this fleet composition, with its construction being phased accordingly. The primary focus would shift towards the spaceships of the Emergency Traders Alliance in Original Sin of the Empire of the Sun, centering on the Sova-class aircraft carriers, supplemented by Cole-class and Dunov-class battlecruisers, and spearheaded by Martha-class dreadnoughts. These capital ships, measuring over 1,000 meters, would be supported by the Ragnarov-class Titans already under construction, and another planned Titan, forming a formidable fleet for the early stages of the Clone Wars. The final phase aimed at enhancing future combat capabilities, acknowledging the Sova-class aircraft carriers' limitations and necessitating the development of more potent carriers. Depending on the war and political landscape, 2 divergent paths were considered. One path explored the technology tree of the Emma Empire in Eve, a direction met with skepticism by Professor Qi Zhenjun. He argued that the Caldari Republic's battleship technology, being more akin to current capabilities, was easier to integrate. However, Tang Xiao highlighted the Amarr Empire's battleships, emphasizing their laser weaponry and the comprehensive design for energy transmission and laser capacitors, aligning with the Star Wars universe's technological ethos. This 10-year plan represented a meticulous and strategic approach to not only advancing the Fourth Civilization's military might, but also securing its position as a formidable power in the galaxy through technological innovation and strategic alliances. In an ambitious move to bolster the military prowess of the Fourth Civilization, Tang Xiao has devised a comprehensive 10-year plan that draws from a diverse array of technological trees across various science fiction and universes. At the forefront of this plan is the integration of world-explosive laser weapons, specifically the turbo-laser cannon, with the battleships of the Amarr Empire. This strategic decision allows for the direct utilization of explosive laser weapons, bypassing the need for the development of the Amarr Empire's crystal laser weapons and thus saving on research and development costs. The inclusion of these weapons on the Amarr Empire's battleships, ranging from the 3,088-meter-long Archon-class aircraft carrier to the 5,216-meter-long Wangu-class super aircraft carrier, promises a significant enhancement to the fleet's capabilities. Parallel to this, Tang Xiao has also considered the technology tree of the UNSC from Halo. While UNSC warships may not represent the pinnacle of advancement, their technology is characterized by two key advantages: practicality and versatility. From the Saber fighter to the Infinity-class super aircraft carrier, UNSC technology is capable of meeting a wide range of military needs, ensuring that the Fourth Civilization's military can develop comprehensively. This approach addresses the concerns of the Army, which has previously accused Tang Xiao of favoritism, though he admittedly has shown a preference. Beyond the immediate 10-year timeframe, Tang Xiao envisions the continued exploration of technologies from Starcraft and Mass Effect to supplement the Fourth Civilization's arsenal. The practical applications of Mass Effect's individual weapons and equipment, as well as the universal tools for researchers and engineers, are already in the process of being mass-produced. Additionally, the potential development of Starcraft's SCVs, ghost fighters, giant mechas, siege tanks, and the future Tauren-class battlecruisers underscores the practical value these technologies offer. The foundational technology from stars remains a critical area of research and development for the Fourth Civilization, ensuring a steady progression of technological advancement. Tang Xiao's vision is clear. Completing this 10-year plan will position the Fourth Civilization to contend with the Galactic Republic in future conflicts, such as the anticipated Clone Wars. This strategic positioning is crucial for navigating the dark future of the galaxy and securing a place for the Fourth Civilization amidst the emerging Galactic Empire. However, Tang Xiao is acutely aware of the unpredictable nature of the future. The establishment of the Galactic Empire could usher in the deployment of formidable assets like the Empire-class Star Destroyer Group, the Executor-class Star Destroyer, the Eclipse-class Super Star Destroyer, and potentially even the Death Star, necessitating a recalibration of plans. A revelation that adds another layer of complexity to Tang Xiao's plans is the composition of the 5 billion frozen embryos, of which approximately 500 million belong to other races, such as the Protoss, St. Healy, Vasari, among others. This diversity underscores the multifaceted challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for Fourth Civilization as it navigates its ambitious journey towards galactic prominence. Vol 2, Chapter 258, A Fleet Transforms into an Army. The addition of 5 CR-70 frigates and a Predator-class heavy supply ship marked a significant expansion of the fleet. Although the CR-70 frigates were not advanced enough to join the elite A-fleet of the Fourth Civilization, they found their purpose elsewhere. The Hammerhead-class cruiser Iron Tooth, under the command of Volgograd Kennedy, made its way back to the Endor system. After receiving a fresh coat of paint in the standard colors of the Fourth Group, it joined forces with the 5 CR-70 frigates to form a local fleet designated as S, setting its course for the planet Semils. The Nulls, having suffered considerable losses in previous battles, including their commander Buka, were left with only 13 members. They temporarily stepped back from their roles on the cruiser Iron Fang for other assignments. Kennedy, fulfilling his own wish, relinquished his captaincy. Leadership of the battleship was transferred to another master-level captain. However, Kennedy did not return to the Dawn planet for a break. Instead, he accompanied the fleet to Semils to oversee production management. Tang Xiao had not forgotten about this unique individual who, despite his aversion to combat, was not a pacifist. He hoped that time would mend the unseen scars in Kennedy's heart and unlock his master-level potential. The Predator-class heavy supply ship underwent a significant transformation. Its cargo holds were removed and converted into hangars, a process that was surprisingly simpler and completed 3 months ahead of schedule. Originally equipped with a modest hangar platform, the modifications involved creating passages between the cargo hold and the hangar platform, installing cranes and rails, and thus converting it into 2 new hangars. This upgrade increased the ship's carrier capacity from 30 to 134, making room for 110 ghost fighters alongside some space for shuttles and transport aircraft. This effectively turned it into a standard light aircraft carrier. The only drawback was its limited hangar platform, which could only launch and recover 1 aircraft at a time, reducing its operational efficiency compared to dedicated aircraft carriers. Nevertheless, it was a formidable addition. Now, as the largest warship in the Fourth Civilization Navy, it was only fitting for it to join the A Fleet and become its flagship. Tang Xiao personally christened it the Homeland Light Aircraft Carrier. With the Homeland Light Aircraft Carrier now active, the Fourth Civilization's A Fleet boasted 20 Vengeance-class corvettes, 40 Cobalt-class heavy frigates, 20 Pulsar-class corvettes, and 70 Hammer-class corvettes. This formidable assembly was now a force to be reckoned with. Tang Xiao was pleasantly surprised to discover that the addition of the Homeland Light Aircraft Carrier had triggered the conditions for awakening one of the legendary figures. Upon seeing the name, his eyes sparkled with excitement. He immediately initiated the awakening process and summoned the individual to his office as soon as they passed their physical examination. A knock on the office door heralded the arrival of a soldier in his 30s. Not particularly tall, he had a broad face, thick eyebrows, large eyes, and a determined expression, a quintessential soldier's appearance, complemented by short, practical hair. Upon entering, he saluted Tang Xiao crisply and announced, "Hello, Manager. Matt Horner reporting for duty." Tang Xiao nodded in approval, his anticipation fulfilled. The fleet commander he had been eagerly awaiting had finally arrived. Matt Horner, hailing from the Starcraft universe, had served as Jim Raynor's adjutant before rising to the rank of Imperial Admiral. While he might not possess any extraordinary talents, his diligence, attention to detail, and unwavering dedication made him the perfect candidate for the role. Matt Horner may not be the type to spring surprises, but he is the epitome of reliability. It was only after the light aircraft carrier Homeland was integrated into the battle sequence that the Fourth Civilization's fleet truly merited the title of a fleet. This marked the fulfillment of Matt Horner's awakening conditions. Tang Xiao, with a smile, addressed him. "I have a fleet that I'm entrusting to you. Do you feel confident in taking on this responsibility?" Matt Horner appeared taken aback. "Manager, I'm quite new here. Assuming such a high position so soon doesn't seem appropriate. I'd prefer to start at the bottom and earn my promotions based on merit." It was clear that Matt Horner, in terms of age and demeanor, resembled the younger version of Jim Raynor's adjutant rather than the seasoned Imperial Admiral he was destined to become. Tang Xiao found this promising. "No," Tang Xiao replied firmly. "Commanding this fleet is your trial. Currently, our fleet commander role is temporarily filled by our chief naval commander, and your arrival will relieve him of this duty. This is an order, and I expect you to lead this fleet successfully." "Yes, sir, I will fulfill the mission," Matt Horner responded, his excitement palpable as he stood at attention and saluted once more. The fleet you'll be commanding is Fleet A, which includes a light aircraft carrier and 150 combat ships of various types. While we don't have any large-scale combat missions at the moment, our ongoing objective is to combat the galaxy's largest criminal organization, the Black Sun, and ensure our galaxy's safety. That's your primary task. Yes, sir. I'll start immediately and won't let you down, Matt Horner assured. Good. Ni Yongxiao is currently leading the offensive against the Black Sun. Once you're acquainted with Fleet A, coordinate with him as soon as possible, Tang Xiao instructed. After Matt Horner departed, Tang Xiao sighed in relief, content with having found a competent commander for the fleet. Although Igor Zavalov was an excellent commander, his role as the chief naval commander meant it was impractical for him to be constantly away with the fleet. Matt Horner was the ideal choice for Fleet A's commander, given his capabilities and potential. The situation with the Army's chief commander, Xiao Guanghua, was similar, though he had expressed a preference for being on the front lines rather than behind a desk. However, with the Army still in its infancy and lacking suitable candidates, the status quo would have to suffice. Suddenly, Tang Xiao received a message. Administrator, the research on the Injoli people in the biological laboratory has yielded preliminary results. The research director requests your presence. Intrigued by the rapid progress, Tang Xiao replied, "All right, I'm on my way." He headed to the hangar platform and boarded a shuttle to the Independent Biological Experiment Space Station. Upon disembarking from the shuttle and entering the space station, Tang Xiao was unexpectedly collided with by a figure in the corridor. Anticipating the collision, he stood his ground, knowing that any attempt to dodge would result in the figure hitting the wall. The impact was direct, and the figure stumbled to the ground. Looking down, Tang Xiao saw a young girl, around 11 or 12 years old, with fair skin and blonde hair, lying on the ground and rubbing her forehead. Despite the circumstances, she looked remarkably adorable. Attachment 1 of the Easter Egg Chapter Horner. Attachment 2 of the Easter Egg Chapter, Blonde Little Girl. Vol 2, Chapter 259, Buy One, Get Two Free. Biologist Tang Xiao swiftly came to the aid of the little girl who had stumbled. He recognized her immediately. After all, she was somewhat of a legend. "Are you all right, Shuili? The corridors of the space station are quite cramped, so please be careful not to run," he cautioned, picking up the textbook she had dropped and handing it back to her. The little girl, Shuili, stood up, brushing off her clothes as if to remove dust that wasn't there, and said with a hint of pretense, "Dad kicked me out." Cough. "It's nothing. I'm in a hurry. You can handle things here, manager." With that, she dashed off. Tang Xiao's brow furrowed as he noticed the redness and swelling on Shuili's knees fade remarkably fast, sparking a thought in his mind. However, he didn't dwell on it and instead proceeded in the direction from which Shuili had come. He entered a laboratory where 2 operating tables stood in the center, each holding the corpse of an Injoli. A man and a woman, both clad in white coats, were engrossed in examining a tissue sample under a microscope, jotting down notes on a digital pad, seemingly oblivious to Tang Xiao's entrance. The man, though handsome, had gaunt cheeks that lent him a somewhat sinister appearance. The woman, in her 30s, was slender with her blonde hair loosely tied back. Despite showing signs of age, she retained a certain allure. Clearing his throat, Tang Xiao tapped lightly on the doorframe. "Dr. William Birkin, I've arrived. What was the result you mentioned earlier?" "Over there. Take it. I'm quite occupied at the moment," the man, William Birkin, replied without turning, gesturing vaguely towards a table. Tang Xiao looked in the indicated direction, only to find a few cigars on the table. Picking them up, he asked, "Cigars? Have you infused them with something?" William Birkin didn't answer, instead continuing his discussion with the woman. Sample 1007, the cell necrosis rate in the second step. Before he could finish, the microscope was suddenly yanked away by an unseen force and hurled against the wall, shattering upon impact. "What are you doing?" William Birkin spun around, facing Tang Xiao in disbelief. With a cold smile, Tang Xiao raised his hand, and an invisible force gripped Birkin's throat, lifting him off the ground. As Birkin struggled for air, Tang Xiao stated icily, "I hope you realize the gravity of your actions." The woman quickly bowed to Tang Xiao, pleading, "Please forgive us, manager. We were at a critical point in our experiment. Tang Xiao released Birkin, who crashed against the wall. Even though he had restrained his strength, Birkin was left in disarray. When the master sends me personally, you should prioritize our discussion over your experiments. If the experiment was truly at a critical juncture, you should have waited to notify me. Temper your attitude, or next time you'll experience the extent of my own. I apologize, manager, Birkin managed, his head bowed, clearly trying to hide his expression. Tang Xiao understood the gesture but pressed on. Focus on your work and let your talents shine. If you act wisely, you can showcase your abilities beyond just being a mere data collector. Yes, Birkin responded meekly. Now, about the cigars, Tang Xiao prompted. They're ordinary cigars. However, to the Anjolis, this tobacco acts as a potent stimulant, whereas it's mundane to us. My research requires more time. Decisive results are unlikely within months. For now, proceed with your plan using these cigars, manager, Birkin explained thoroughly. Proceed, then, Tang Xiao said, leaving without another glance. Indeed, the legendary buy-one-get-two-free deal referred to William Birkin from Resident Evil, along with his wife, Annette Birkin, and their daughter, Sherry Birkin. Though it was a package deal, the implications of their awakening were far-reaching. Tang Xiao had initially refrained from awakening William Birkin due to his reservations. Despite Birkin's brilliance in biology and genetics, his moral compass was severely skewed. In the Resident Evil series, Birkin, alongside Wesker, was responsible for the murder of James Marcus to curry favor with their superiors. His unethical human experiments and development of the G-virus, culminating in his self-injection during a moment of desperation, directly led to the catastrophe that befell Raccoon City. However, Tang Xiao eventually decided to awaken Birkin, driven by the unsatisfactory progress on the Injoli planet and the need for extraordinary measures. Another factor was the character of Birkin's family, his wife and daughter, who maintained their moral integrity, especially his daughter Sherry Birkin. Sherry later emerged as a protagonist in the fight against biochemical weapons. Upon awakening Birkin, Tang Xiao was prepared to eliminate him if necessary, hoping that Birkin's wife and daughter could then be persuaded to support their cause. Birkin's arrogance and ignorance of the current situation were unsurprising, given his past actions, including his ill-fated collaboration with Wesker. Exiting the biological laboratory, Tang Xiao encountered Sherry Birkin wandering outside. He approached her, puzzled by her presence in the lab instead of attending school. Sherry hesitantly explained that her father did not want her to stray too far from him, a claim that Tang Xiao found laughably out of character for Birkin. Sensing an opportunity, Tang Xiao crouched down and in a somewhat dubious manner requested a sample of Sherry's blood. Despite her initial refusal, citing her father's likely disapproval, Tang Xiao assured her of his authority in the matter. To persuade her, he performed a demonstration of his healing abilities, presenting it as a form of magic. The display of the wound healing instantly captivated Sherry, who eagerly agreed to provide a blood sample in exchange for learning the magic. After successfully obtaining the sample, Tang Xiao handed it to a T-850 guard with strict instructions for its confidential analysis in a completely sealed environment, emphasizing the importance of preventing any data leaks. Tang Xiao's concern deepened as he contemplated the implications of his discovery. If his suspicions were correct, Sherry Birkin might be carrying the G-virus, suggesting that William Birkin's actions were even more complex and potentially dangerous than initially believed. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Annette Birkin. Attachment 2 of the Easter egg chapter, William Birkin. Vol 2, Chapter 260, New Commission. The test results were swiftly delivered to Tang Xiao's desk. As anticipated, the laboratory staff identified a unique virus in Shirley Birkin's blood sample. This virus exhibited an unusual coexistence with Shirley Birkin's body tissue. It neither caused destructive reproduction nor mutation. Instead, it possessed the miraculous ability to heal her bodily injuries at an exceptionally rapid pace. After pondering the situation, Tang Xiao decided to inform Baron Helmut Zemo about the discovery. He requested Zemo to enhance surveillance on the biological experimental space station where William Birkin was conducting his research, emphasizing the need for round-the-clock monitoring of William himself. Subsequently, Tang Xiao reached out to Munter, instructing him to return to the Endor galaxy as there were upcoming plans concerning the Injuli people that required his assistance. Reflecting on the current state of affairs, Tang Xiao realized that both planet Injoli and planet Celia resembled pressure cookers on the verge of exploding due to the mounting tension and pressure. Seated on his sofa, he gazed at the distant stars with a grave expression. He considered how many across the galaxy, including Finis Valorum, the president of the Galactic Council, might view the disaster at the Eliadu Business Summit as a peak crisis, mistakenly believing that a period of tranquility would follow. Unfortunately, they were unaware that what they perceived as the peak was merely the onset of a far greater storm. The future, including that of the fourth civilization, was akin to a ship navigating through a tempest. With a wry smile, Tang Xiao composed himself and headed towards the Dole planet aboard his shuttle. His mission was to inspect the primary resource hub of the fourth civilization. The Union Mining Group had made significant progress, completing 1/3 of the mining star ring, and had commenced large-scale mining operations. To address the escalating demand for resources, the United Mining Group had also utilized some of Tang Xiao's scientific research data on mining spacecraft. Through their own innovation and development, they had introduced several mining spacecraft into service. Among them was the Stormtrooper-class mining frigate, a 100-meter-long vessel boasting high automation and capable of being operated by a single pilot. This frigate was designed for stability and reliability, featuring a substantial cargo capacity and low operational costs. It could be equipped with either a mining laser module for solid ores or a gas cloud collection module for harvesting resources from gaseous planets, thus catering to diverse mining needs. Another notable addition was the Delusion-class mining barge, measuring approximately 200 meters in length and manned by a crew of 10. This spacecraft demonstrated superior mining efficiency, capable of equipping up to 3 sets of large mining lasers, allowing it to dissect and collect an asteroid in just over 10 minutes. Furthermore, the Damask Holding Group had dispatched a plethora of mining machinery and robots to aid in the mining efforts. The construction of the interstellar shipyard of the fourth civilization was proceeding at an unrelenting pace, with spaceships continuously rolling off the production lines. These vessels were either incorporated into the navy of the fourth civilization or sold across the galaxy. After addressing the matters at hand, Tang Xiao traveled to Dawn Planet. There he found a serene spot amidst the picturesque scenery and sat down to meditate, immersing himself in the natural tranquility of the planet. This peaceful environment helped soothe the restless dark side force within him. His meditation was abruptly interrupted by an unexpected communication. Tang Xiao frowned. His private communication details were known to only a select few, making this call particularly unusual. Upon connecting, a holographic projection revealed a tall, slender figure, a moon. However, this was not Hego Damask II. The individual's youthful appearance, marked by the smoothness of his skin and facial features, indicated his relative youth. Tang Xiao scrutinized the newcomer, quickly deducing his identity. The moon, in turn, observed Tang Xiao before speaking. "You are Teacher Haige's disciple, Tang Xiao, correct? Greetings. My name is San Hill, and I currently..." San Hill, a future co-chair of the Interstellar Banking Association, was known for his influence over the galaxy's largest financial conglomerate. Despite his eminent status, he approached Tang Xiao with a demeanor of respect, likely due to his connection with Teacher Haige. Tang Xiao, intrigued by the unexpected visit, greeted him warmly. "Yes, I'm Tang Xiao. What brings you to me, Mr. Hill?" San Hill wasted no time in getting to the point. "We may find ourselves in numerous collaborative endeavors in the future. Teacher Haige has spoken highly of you and your team, the fourth group, especially regarding your involvement with Dawn Planet. For now, I have a project in mind that might interest you. Are you open to discussing it?" Tang Xiao, always open to opportunities, responded positively. "Money is a language everyone understands, and I'm well aware of my connection with Teacher Haige. I'm intrigued by what you propose. Please, go on." San Hill, reassured by Tang Xiao's interest, shared his thoughts. "This task is well within your capabilities, especially considering your familiarity with Celia Planet. The project involves Kali Planet. At the mention of Kali Planet, Tang Xiao felt a surge of curiosity. San Hill, noticing his reaction, continued, "It appears you're not familiar with Kali Planet. It's a remote world, lacking stable hyperspace routes, yet it remains a member of the Galactic Republic." "And what opportunities does this planet offer?" Tang Xiao inquired, his interest piqued. San Hill chuckled at the question. "I appreciate your directness. The Kali are a warrior race, but their current government is not in the best interests of the Galactic Republic. We aim to support a transition to a more progressive leadership. I'm spearheading this initiative. Do you grasp the implications?" Note 1. Regarding the operation of ships in Eve, there are various theories. I lean towards the idea that these vessels require a significant crew. The game does not explicitly state that a spacecraft is operated by a single individual, and the concept of a crew is somewhat minimized by the developers for gameplay reasons. Moving forward, I will include crews in EV's spaceships based on my judgment. Please, no harsh criticism. Easter egg chapter attachments. 1. Charger-class mining frigate. 2. Delusion-level mining barge. Vol. 2, Chapter 261, War on the Edge of the Galaxy. Tang Xiao offered a slight smile, clearly skeptical of San Hill's claims about the Republic. If the Republic truly had the audacity to overthrow any planetary regime that displeased them, they wouldn't be in such a weakened state. However, the conflict involving the Kali people was undeniably pivotal. Not because of the war's immediate consequences. After all, a skirmish in the remote reaches of space hardly threatened the Republic's political stability. But it was within this conflict that a figure emerged, one who would profoundly influence the future of the Republic. "So, the Interstellar Banking Association intends to delegate the management of this war to our fourth group, correct?" Tang Xiao inquired, his tone laced with a hint of amusement. San Hill returned the smile, his expression enigmatic. "Let's just say that's the Galactic Republic's wish," he replied, then added, "We're looking forward to a fruitful collaboration. As a token of our appreciation, we're prepared to commission 20 Apocalypse-class light cruisers from the fourth group, and will also assist in establishing 2 production lines as part of the agreement. I'll introduce you to a contact person, a Yamri." "It's settled then. I'm looking forward to working with you, Mr. Hill," Tang Xiao responded, nodding in agreement. After the communication ended, Tang Xiao pondered the information San Hill had provided. He sifted through his memories, recalling plots and characters related to the war on planet Kali, organizing the narrative in his mind. His training in the Force had sharpened his mental faculties, allowing him to recall information with ease, as if flipping through a book. He then reactivated the communicator, reaching out to the individual named Yasuo Kavi. The connection was established almost instantly, revealing a brown, arthropod-like figure in the holographic projection, reminiscent of a bipedal mantis. "Are you a representative from the Trade Federation?" The mantis-like Yamri inquired eagerly, its scythe-like arms moving animatedly. Tang Xiao frowned slightly. Despite the creature's resemblance to a mantis, its ability to speak, complete with eyes, lips, and teeth, was notable. "My affiliation with the Trade Federation is irrelevant." "Speak quickly. I'm quite busy," he replied curtly, his disdain for the Yamri's race, informed by his knowledge of the plot, evident in his tone. It became clear to Tang Xiao that this was a case of passing the buck. The Trade Federation had first handed off the issue to the Interstellar Banking Association, which in turn had passed the responsibility to the fourth group. No wonder San Hill had been so generous with the offer of 20 Apocalypse-class light cruisers and 2 production lines. Indeed, there were no free lunches. "I am Yasuo Kavi, a Yamri. Please, we implore you to save our race and our home planet, Huck," the Yamri pleaded. "Go on," Tang Xiao prompted, his interest piqued despite his initial reluctance. "The Kali have invaded our homeland, slaughtering our people by the hundreds of thousands. They've even set our hatcheries ablaze, destroying them with fire. Please, you must help us," Kavi implored, his voice laced with despair. "Invasion? But wasn't it your people who initially invaded their planet? How did the tables turn?" Tang Xiao asked, his skepticism evident. "That's a complete misunderstanding. We had a partnership with the Kali, assisting them in developing their industry and technology. We established hatcheries on their planet for our expatriate workers and their families. But now, those hatcheries have been decimated, along with tens of thousands of our precious eggs, and even our sacred temple has been destroyed. Yasuokaze lamented, his voice breaking into sobs. Though Tang Xiao had never witnessed a Yamri cry before, he could sense the genuine distress in Kavi's voice. It was clear that Tang Xiao had no intention of getting embroiled in the complexities of this conflict. His purpose here was strictly business, not diplomacy or mediation. Yet there was an essential question he needed to ask. Recalling the narrative of this particular saga, he inquired about two individuals. Do you know Hilal and Kumar? These two were celebrated as war heroes among the Kali people in the ongoing conflict. Upon hearing these names, Yasuokaze's reaction was visceral. He shuddered as though struck by an immense force. A shade of green washed over his compound eyes, and his body began to quiver uncontrollably. The fear in his voice was palpable as he spoke. They are monsters, absolute monsters. Hilal, in particular, has caused the deaths of countless of our kin. Their blades have been bathed in our green blood. I curse their names. Tang Xiao pressed on. What's the current status of the war? Our forces had fought valiantly and even managed to slay Kumar, one of the duo. Yasuokaze's voice faltered, his strength seemingly draining away. We hoped that would end their reign of terror, but Hilal, he has returned, stronger and more cunning than before. With the Kali at his command, he's been decimating our armies, incinerating our hatcheries. We're powerless against him. He's even adopted a new name. It's... Overcome with emotion, Kavi struggled to continue. Grievous. Tang Xiao offered a slight smile, his understanding of the situation deepening with Kavi's testimony. I can supply you with weapons, spaceships, fighter jets, and various other resources, including food, medicine, and minerals. With my support, victory in this war could easily be yours. The question remains, however, do you have the means to pay? Note 1. While many of the alien species in Star Wars draw inspiration from Earth's fauna, the Yamre are perhaps the most unoriginal, being essentially giant praying mantises. This detail is not to be altered. 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Yamre. Attachment 2 of the Easter egg chapter, Kali people.